I'm on a live stream. What's going on, big dog?
Oh man, I'm in the closet crying, homie. We got this kid is innocent. I've been with this family since day.
During a recent broadcast of the Millionaire Morning Show, Anton Daniels hosted a segment that took an unexpected and heavy turn. Toward the final third of the stream, Charleston White called in, triggering a conversation that was as raw as it was emotionally charged.
Mixed martial artists, you got one on one side. These boys are barhand destroyers. The one he killed broke his daddy collarbone. These kids have a reputation of sexual misconduct, drugs, alcohol, guns. They are terrified.
At a track meet, Carmelo Anthony took shelter in a rival team's tent because his own school didn't have one. When the Metcalf brothers, two 200-pound MMA-trained athletes, confronted him to leave, a confrontation broke out. Carmelo warned, "If you touch me, you'll find out." And when Austin Metcalf laid hands on him, a stabbing occurred. The prosecution argues the push didn't justify lethal force, but Charleston White contends that given the massive size and skill disparity, with 5'8", 130-pound Carmelo facing two powerhouse fighters, a physical fight would have been impossible to win. White also alleges the brothers had a history of dangerous behavior, including assault and substance issues, which he claims changed the nature of the defense.
The Metcalf brothers, why? They were the ones suspended. So that's why the narrative come in and saying Carmelo was suspended. He wasn't supposed to be on a 10. No, the Metcalf brothers were suspended a week prior. That's why when they showed up, they hadn't seen. Everybody else was comfortable in being there, except the two bullies who scared everybody.
Now,
It is worth noting that Charleston White has undergone a complete shift in perspective. He has moved from being a vocal critic to an ardent supporter of Carmelo Anthony. White pointed out that Carmelo's team lacked a tent during that meet, just as they had the previous week. He also introduced the claim that the Metcalf twins had been suspended just a week earlier, a detail yet to be verified. Crucially, White emphasized that even if it wasn't his team's designated area, Carmelo was simply existing in the space. There is no evidence that he was instigating trouble, harassing others, or causing any form of disturbance before the confrontation began. That is the situation as it stands, and then things escalated.
The kid have a murder case and he never stood up to kill anybody. He stood up out of fear and ran. Well, where did he run to? Directly to the arms of a school teacher with tears in his eyes.
A major point of contention many have with Anton Daniels is his tendency to rely on broad generalizations. You've likely noticed his habit of labeling the culture as trash or inherently flawed, a rhetorical brush he's used in the past, including with the Cyrus case, and is now applying to this situation. However, Charleston White makes a compelling counter-argument here. There was no premeditation. When you consider the reality of a student-athlete with a 3.79 GPA and a promising future in track, it's difficult to fathom why he would intentionally throw his life away. A student with those prospects isn't looking to jeopardize their path to college. Furthermore, following the incident, there was clear evidence of genuine remorse for the victim. And that is where the heart of the story truly lies.
This report that they got said this kid had tears with empathy and compassion. But this is what I'm saying, and I sit in this closet to hide my tears from my son. I stood in front of black people, and I stood in front of that family. And I looked them in their eyes, and I told them one of the best thing they could have did was gave us all white jury.
The jury in this case included no black members, despite White's hope that an affluent, professional jury would show compassion to a young student-athlete. This highlights a harsh reality. For a black person living in a majority white area, there is zero margin for error. While White viewed the incident as a young kid acting out of fear, the justice system often ignores that nuance. Once a life is lost, the focus shifts to whether the defendant could have walked away. The reality is that unlike others, black defendants are frequently judged more harshly, and the mistakes that might be overlooked in other demographics are rarely forgiven in theirs.
Because you can't make me believe 12 white people's hearts would be so cold at one time. Because I know how they get the jury pool. They get teachers, they get nurses, they get doctors, they get people who have compassionate spirits. I wouldn't believe in my heart and my mind that white people are that evil. So I told black people, man, they ain't.
It's a pattern we've seen before. Cases like Trayvon Martin's illustrate a painful divide in how justice is perceived. People might debate the circumstances surrounding a confrontation, but once a life is taken, the narrative often shifts to "he deserved it." That specific mindset is exactly why movements like Black Lives Matter emerged. As black people, we have to be honest about this reality. Some among us, especially those who have achieved a certain level of success, might feel like they've arrived and that these systemic issues no longer apply to them. But that's a dangerous illusion. Success doesn't change how society views your identity. At the end of the day, you are still black, and that reality remains constant. It's a point we have to keep at the forefront of our minds. Now, let's move to the next point.
Silence. How can I defend any white person when every time they kill, they find a justification for it? Trayvon Martin didn't have no weapon. White people don't feel the same about George Zimmerman that they do about the kid Carmelo.
Due to the intense public hostility surrounding the case, White revealed that Carmelo Anthony's family had to move 8 times in 2 years just to stay safe. He even personally bought Carmelo a Jeep to assist them during this period of constant displacement. It highlights how the fallout from the case has turned their lives upside down. And there's more.
Was a high-end car salesman at Mercedes-Benz, one of the top in the nation. They started going up to the job playing like they want to buy a car, get in the finance department and bring up the murder. She lost his job. He called me crying. I made him my road manager just to give him some money to help him pay bills. But I got him on the road with me away from his family. Who protected his family? His son, his mama.
White also shared that he eventually hired Carmelo's father, who had previously been a top-performing salesman at a Mercedes-Benz dealership in Frisco. Since Frisco is an affluent suburb of Dallas, high-end car sales can be incredibly lucrative, but the public backlash against the family reached a point where people were reportedly showing up at his workplace to harass him about the case, ultimately costing him his career. When you consider the immense wealth in that region, the kind of money generated by oil magnates and the Dallas elite, losing such a high-earning position is financially devastating. Recognizing the hardship the family was facing, White stepped in to hire the father himself, ensuring they had some form of income to keep their heads above water. And then there is the rest of the situation.
I have never been able to beat the white man not being like that. He's like that. How can we in America look at this trial and say racism when children are involved? Why? Because the white people came and made it racism before the white folk got there. Every step of the process, this black kid had to be passed along to a white face. Every step of the process, this kid had to be passed along to his enemy, and they never saw it.
White argues the legal system remains cold, ignoring a clean record or health struggles like epilepsy. This serves as a brutal wake-up call for him and the community. While he's an entertainer, his point is dead serious. We must teach our youth the 80s rules again. When dealing with authority or tense confrontations, prioritize survival over being right. Just walk away. Cases like this highlight a dangerous loss of leverage. The world doesn't see these situations through our lens. They see a lack of power and unification, which means they don't feel compelled to grant us fairness. We have to educate our children on the reality of the world so they can navigate it and succeed. We need to be smarter, protect our own, and move with caution. What do you think?